Hello chess enthusiasts, my name is Micha and welcome to my chessrealm YouTube channel. So we are at the fourth round of a Julius Baer tournament. Let's see what happened in an interesting game between Anish, Giri and Baskaran Adhiban. Giri had white pieces and he started with d4, f5. So we have Dutch defense, we don't see that often. Bishop goes to g5, h6, attacking the bishop. Bishop goes to h4, g5, preparing to trap the bishop. After bishop to g3, we have f4 trapping the bishop. So white plays e3. Of course, black cannot capture bishop on h4 because we have queen to h5 checkmate already in the fifth move. So in the game, black plays bishop to g7, creating additional space for black. If white plays queen to h5, black simply responds with king to f8 and black is safe here. So in the game, white plays bishop goes to g3. Now black strikes the center with c5. Now c3 defending the center. Queen goes to b6, pretty much according to the theory. And white continues with the development. Knight goes to d2. Now this pawn on b2 is not protected, but if queen captures on b2, we have rook to b1. Now let's see, there are a couple of options. If queen captures on a2, immediately bishop goes to c4, attacking the queen and so on. And if, for example, black captures another pawn on c3, we have queen to h5 check. Now king can go either to f8 or d8. If king goes to d8, we have queen to f7, and then this bishop is for free, because if black removes the bishop, it's queen to f8 checkmate. If, however, king goes to f8, we have bishop to c4, threatening here checkmate on f7, and the only way to defend is e6, but then bishop to e6 check, and now king cannot go anywhere. The only option is knight goes to e7, defending the check, but then knight from g1 enters the game with tempo, attacking the queen. After queen goes, let's say, to a5, knight to g3, threatening with sacrificing on a5, opening this file, and white has decisive attack here. So black plays c-pawn captures from d4, c-pawn recaptures, and now black continues with the development. Knight to f6, now queen to h5 is no longer possible because if h5 square is protected, and pawn on b2 is still unprotected, but white continues with bishop to d3, attacking pawn on f5. Black defends with e5, and now white continues with h4. Again, black doesn't choose to capture this pawn on b2. Knight to 6 was played, and now h-pawn captures on g5. H-pawn recaptures. Now rook on h1 is under attack. Of course, there's no good way of defending it other than a bishop to h2, but you really don't want to do that in this position. So white has no other option but to capture the rook on h8, and this is what happens. So rook to h8, bishop recaptures, and now white continues with the development. Knight from g goes to f3. And black decides to drive the knight away with g4. Now there are two options. Maybe the best option would be simply a knight to g5, putting it on a very strong square, but white sees otherwise. Knight goes to h4, double attack on this pawn on f5. So black creates with knight to d4 interference, and now white has decided to get rid of this very strong knight here on e4. But maybe the best option would be simply if bishop should capture. If bishop captures, let's say d-pawn recaptures. And then, of course, the knight goes to g6, attacking the bishop. After bishop plays to f6, knight to g4, threatening to jump on f5, putting a lot of pressure here on c7 square. That's definitely one of the options. In the game, however, white has decided to keep the bishop pair, so knight captures, knight on e4, d-pawn recaptures. Now bishop is under attack, so white loses additional tempo to remove it. Bishop goes to e2. And now black has finally decided to capture this pawn on b2, so queen captures on b2. Now white will definitely use both queen and the rook to attack the enemy king. So white plays king to f1, preparing to jump on g1, escaping to h2. So this is some sort of an escape scare for white king. And now black continues with bishop to f6, targeting this knight on h4, but white doesn't care. Rook to b1 was played, attacking the queen on b2, and black has decided to grab another pawn, so queen captures on a2. Now let's see, black has two-pawn advantage, and both pawns are a pass, and they will be very dangerous in the endgame, so white has no other option but to attack the enemy king, and plays d5, attacking knight on c6. Now there are more options, either a5 or e5. Black has decided to play knight goes to d5, and now bishop goes to b5 check. Now, there's no point in defending with bishop. For example, yeah, black can develop bishop on a d7, but after a bishop captures, either king or even knight, let's say, recaptures, then this pawn is under attack, and also pawn on b7, so maybe this is not the most pleasant situation for black. So in the game, black plays king goes to f7, and now of course white advances with the d pawn, trying to open additional files. So d6 was played, threatening either to capture and then promote, or maybe even d7, trapping this bishop here on c8. So black more or less has no other option but to capture the pawn, so e-pawn captures on d6. Now queen wants to capture, of course, but currently queen is defending this rook on b1. So white continues with rook goes to c1, and black responds with queen to a5. Now bishop is still under attack, so the next move have to be forced. White doesn't want to lose a piece, so queen goes to d5 check. Of course, black cannot defend with bishop to e7 because we have bishop to e8, discover check, and here goes our queen. So black plays king goes to g7. Now at some point white will definitely try to drive this rook here on 7th rank, but the check from the first rank is still valid, so white plays king to g1, preparing to remove the king to h2, if that would be necessary. Black plays queen goes to d8, putting his queen on a defensive role. And now white continues with bishop to c4. Well, black has to be careful if black makes a random move, let's say a6, simply bishop captures. This is the only defender of this f7 square, and if the pawn recaptures, or even bishop doesn't matter, then queen to f7 check, if king to h8, knight to g6 checkmate. If however king to h6, queen to g6 checkmate. So black more or less has no other option but to remove this bishop on c4, so knight captures on c4, rook recaptures, and now this pawn on f5 is double attack, and black defends it further with queen to d7. And here white is slightly better, and way to finish the game for white here would be to play bishop to d6, threatening rook to c7, pinning this queen against the king. King to h6, removing the king for the 7th rank would not help, then queen to g8 would be played, threatening with checkmate here on g6, and queen to g7 also does not help, then it's bishop to f4 is the killer move. Of course, if black interferes with the bishop, simply bishop captures. Let's say if queen captures, then queen to h8 checkmate. If however king capture, then queen is for free. In the game, however, white doesn't fight this continuation. Knight to f5 was played, check. So white is sacrificing the knight. Of course, black has no other option but to accept it. So queen captures on f5, and now rook to c7 check. Now there are more options for black king to go. Let's say if king goes to f8, of course, then it's immediately checkmate. And the correct continuation here was to play king to h8, because then after queen to d6, white is threatening with checkmate of f8, and black would save himself by playing king to g7, avoiding mate. Black is a piece up and a pawn and has two passed pawns, so here the only way for white to save the draw would be rook to c5, attacking the queen, and after queen to d6 there are more meaningful checks, so here white would have to play rook captures on c8, defender of the queen on d6, so queen kept to recapture, and then after queen to f6, of course, black still has a rook and two passed pawn, but with his king in the open, black is prone to a perpetual check, and also the computer agrees that this is a drawn situation, and this was the only way for white to save the draw. In the game, however, in this position, black makes a fatal blunder. King to h6 was played, and now white doesn't have a very hard job to do. Bishop to f4 was played, check. Of course, king cannot go to g6 because queen to f7 is checkmate. If, however, black would defend with bishop to g5, again queen to g8 would be played, threatening with queen to h8. Well, let's see if bishop captures on f4, we have queen to h8 check, king to g6, rook to g7 check, king to f6, and now e-pawn captures on f4, preparing this cover attack. Of course, if black makes a random move, we have queen to h6, and we have mate in 2, queen to g6, and it's checkmate. If, however, queen captures on f4, we have simply rook to g4, and we have check and discover attack on the queen. In the game, black has decided to lose sooner, so king to h5 was played, now rook to h7 check, and now the only option is king to g6 and followed by queen to f7, and it was checkmate. So I hope you like this game, I hope you have learned something from it. If you have any questions, my email is below in the description. Of course, I invite you to visit my Instagram page. That's it for now, and see you soon.